I am trying to show more recipe videos this year and also how I am using the ingredients that we have in our house to make meals throughout the month. So this is the meals that we made the second portion of January. If you're just meeting me, my name is 𝐂𝐻𝐿 and this is the 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐿 Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. I'm also teaching you how I use a $135 grocery budget for a family of 2 right now, and we have all the food that we need in our house. I go grocery shopping once every 3 weeks and we have 0 food waste. This year, with an effort to show you more of what we do in the kitchen, I am showing you the meals that I make with the ingredients that I buy. So we started off this cycle super easy and just pulled something out of the freezer that I had made a couple weeks before. So those were Korean beef bowls, and I made some lentils to serve with it. I have been working on a new Farrow grain bowl, and so we had Farrow with butternut squash and some chicken thighs. This recipe is going to be going up on the blog soon. And keeping things easy, I pulled out some meatballs that Mike had made a couple weeks ago that were in the freezer, and we just sliced up some spaghetti squash and put it in the oven. So prep time, it might have been 5 minutes and then some cook time in the oven, but that was all it spent in the kitchen to make dinner. One day a week, I try to make something that is batch cooked that I can put some in the freezer, and that way we're always cycling through meals. And this week I was making enchiladas, which I not only made for dinner that night, and I put another container away for another dinner size portion, but I also individually froze enchiladas so that they could go into the freezer and we could pull them out for lunch in our new air fryer. And after spending so much time in the kitchen on Saturday making those enchiladas, which it was still the same amount of mess, but I made like 3 times the amount that you would normally make. On Sunday, I wanted a quick and easy dinner, so I made a white wine reduction pasta. But with that, I was using the asparagus that was left over that I had bought at the beginning of December. So about 6 or 7 weeks old at this point when I'm using it. I also added broccoli to it, which is not Mike's favorite, but I found that if I overcook broccoli and add everything bagel seasoning to it, Mike will eat broccoli now. This night was a good example of I was matching my energy levels with what I had pulled out to defrost. And so I had pulled ground beef out to defrost and needed to use it on Monday night, but I didn't have the energy to make the shepherd's pie that I was planning on making. And I decided those potatoes will stay fresh for a couple more months in my pantry so I could make them another night. And I ended up making Tater Tot Casserole instead because it was way easier. And I made enough for dinner that night, another dinner that went into the freezer, and then I also dished out some lunch portions for Mike. I think January is just a good time to remind myself that I have reflective sympathetic dystrophy, and in the middle of winter is when I have the hardest time. So some days I can have a lot of energy and other days can be a lot harder, and this was one of them. So we decided, since we needed to make waffles for the freezer anyways, we made waffles for dinner, and I made sure that I used my 𝐂𝐻𝐿 pancake mix, but I also added extra protein to the mix by adding in a scoop of protein powder and an extra egg. I'm making waffles and I'm using my Misto sprayer. This just has avocado oil in it. You can put any like single oil in there, and then you just pump it and it builds up pressure inside of it, and then you spray it however you're going to spray. So instead of using any harmful chemicals, you are just using the oil. And this ends up saving a lot of money too. Instead of needing to buy special baking spray all of the time that has chemicals in it, you can just be using just oil that you would normally buy for cooking. I want you to see it's really me, and I'm making waffles. It is dark, it's evening. I am making, oh, there's dirty dishes in my sink, like real life here. But I just wanted to show you, these are blueberries. Today is January 21st. It's almost my birthday. And these are the blueberries that I bought before Thanksgiving, and they've been in my refrigerator and they are still perfect. We are going to have them on waffles tonight for dinner, and I'm making some extra to go in the freezer because I'm not a morning person and I like to have waffles in the freezer. I had some croissants that were from Costco that were in the freezer. I normally divide them up into the packages that I need, so I put them in gallon-sized bags in packages of 4 in the freezer, and they've been in there for a couple months. So any bread items I try to rotate out about every 3 to 4 months. So this night we had had chicken salad sandwiches using up those croissants that I had in the freezer and also some canned chicken. If you didn't know, the canned chicken will last 3 years beyond that best by date because it's a low acidity item, but I tried to use it up within the next year and that way I can purchase more. So this was something that had a best by date of 2024 that I just wanted to make sure that I used up. If you would like more information on how long things last past their best by dates, we have a video for that in the description. We had kielbasa, peppers, and onions on, and it has pineapple in it, on rice for dinner this night. I love that if it's like 3 o'clock and you haven't pulled anything out for dinner yet, you can have kielbasa that is frozen in the freezer and be able to pull it out, put it in some water, and it will defrost within an hour. And so that way you can have dinner right on time. And this meal takes about 10 minutes of actually prepping and being there. And then you can have dinner in 30 minutes in one pot. It's perfect. We have this recipe in our zero waste produce book. We are in the middle of a pantry challenge and I wanted to use up some of the ingredients that I was running low on some of the jars. And so I decided to make some protein balls. And these are like eating cookie dough when you want a sweet treat. So I keep them in the freezer and then just pull them out however many I want right before I go to eat them, and I'll let them sit out in a bowl for about 10 minutes and then they taste like cookie dough. So this is a great way to use up some of those ingredients that you might have laying around that isn't a ton, but you can add them together to make something delicious. I had it highlighted in my planner and planned ahead that we were going to be out of town for 3 days for my birthday, and those were the only 3 days all month that we went out to eat. So it was really nice to be able to be with our family and have a large meal all together while we were traveling. So for 3 days, I didn't have to cook, and that was wonderful. And then today we are filming coconut shrimp, and that's what we're going to end up having for dinner tonight. We're almost to the end of the month, which you will see this in like 2 weeks from now, but I am pulling out a whole chicken out of the freezer today that we will have in the next couple days, and probably just easy meals tomorrow. I have been working on quarterly taxes all afternoon, so lasagna, this is zucchini lasagna that was in the freezer, was perfect for dinner tonight, and we just warmed this up. If you're just joining me for the first time, I hope I encourage you to make some easy meals that you can make for your family and learn how to freezer prep some meals that you can pull out on days that are just a little bit harder.